What is good, folks? All things country here. And yesterday we had a bit of a disaster. So I ran a live stream, and the idea of that live stream was to run my Dream Mat Sluice using my Flower Gold Wizard Smoothwater sluice head and my speed controller to see if I could use that Dream Mat as a cleanup sluice. Well, nothing went to plan. One, it was pouring bloody rain outside. Two, the minute I fired it up, my speed controller blew its fuse, and I didn't have another. And then three, we had no choice. We're in the middle of a live stream, pouring rain. We had to run all of our cons as well as a 1 gram bag of Miskimo Sons pay dirt through a sluice that was running 1,100 gallons per hour through a little by 6 by 16 sluice mat. So, as the saying goes, when life gives you lemons, you freeze those lemons and you throw them as hard as you can at whatever's blocking you. So let's get two birds stoned at once, and today we're going to call this a torture test. How much did we capture with that Flower Gold Wizard sluice head and that Dream Mat under the worst of circumstances? Let's go. Alright, so the first thing we did with our dirt, it's already came classified quarter inch. I already had it that way. They were my sluice cons. I got them down to quarter inch. The pay dirt came quarter inch. So what I did was I tried my best in the rain to dry classify the material using a 10 mesh classifier. Well, it was somewhat difficult, but we managed to power through it, and we got that piece done. Then our next step, what we did was we hooked the, well, I shouldn't involve you guys. It wasn't we, it was I. So what I did in this case was I hooked my battery up to my speed controller up to my pump, fired up the speed controller, and all I could smell was rotten eggs because I blew that fuse instantly. I still haven't taken it apart to see what that looks like, but I know it's not going to be pretty. I'm really hoping I didn't burn the board in that speed controller, but we'll see. That being said, speed controller was now useless at this point. Alright, so our next step was we ran everything through our sluice with that pump wide open, 1,100 gallons per hour, little 6 by 16 mat as I mentioned. Now the Flower Gold Wizard's Smoothwater sluice head is awesome. It's been very smooth. I've enjoyed it a lot. I've had it out prospecting 3 times already this year. Fantastic stuff. The Dream Mat is probably the most versatile mat out there for grabbing stuff and being able to run at different pitches and different flows. But man, this was a rough test for it. So again, we're going to do that torture test. We're going to see what it captured versus what it didn't. But that being said, let's start with what it did capture. So we ran all of those cons that I had on hand, plus that 1 gram bag of Miskimo Sons pay dirt, and here's what we got. 1.22 grams of beautiful gold. Actually, I was really pleased that we were able to capture that much. So let's see what was left in those cons. What we're going to do, I'm going to pull out my table, I'm going to get my gutter sluice hooked up, and we're going to run everything through, and then I'm going to pan out the tailings, and we'll see where we're at, and we'll run some numbers, and let's see how that Dream Mat and Flower Gold Wizard sluice head performed under the absolute worst of circumstances. Alright, well, it wasn't all gloom and doom. At least we did manage to capture some wicked nice gold. Alright, so just to show you guys how much 1100 GPH is overkill, the water level in the sluice right now, almost an inch tall, which is way larger than it needs to be. Now I have this somewhat heavy, flat rock. Obviously, your cleanup sluice is not meant to kick out heavy things. It's meant to keep heavy things. But check this out. Bye-bye rock. See you later. Gone. Running way too fast. So I thought I'd show you guys that because I didn't capture it in the video earlier. But yeah, just look at the water level right up to the top of the Smoothwater sluice as well. Not good at all. Alright guys, so we got my old faithful gutter sluice here. Dirt Russell. This thing may be slow, but it does a fantastic job. So we're going to put yesterday's cons through Dirt Russell to see what we missed. Let's have at her, then we're going to put them in this pan and we'll bring them down later and pan them out in the panning station. Alright guys, so with all our sluicing done, I'm going to grab the mat out of this bad boy. There we go. Don't see any really huge signs of gold in the sluice, but it was very, very fine gold we were processing, so it could be hidden under black sands. So all I really do is I tip this up so it's nice and straight, and fold it back onto itself to open the riffles up and let all the goodness fall out. Not too bad to clean up. Not as easy as the dream mat, but not too bad to clean up at all. There you go. Good enough for the girls I date. Nice and clean. So we'll get this downstairs, get it to the panning station, pan it out, and we'll get a weight on it, see what we missed yesterday. Alright guys, so we have our gold here from yesterday, that nice little pile. And here, I would have taken you guys through the panning sequence, but just this stuff has been crazy. Just how fine it was and how much dang pyrite was in it. So I'm going to put a little water in there. I'm going to stretch that line out for you. And I'm going to give it a good tap, just so you guys can see just how much of that flour gold is. That is so fine. That is talcum powder fine. So this is what the sluice missed yesterday. This is definitely the kind of gold that a sluice would miss. Very, very fine. With that water ripping through that sluice the way it was, this is the stuff you'd expect to get blown off if you lost any. I still don't know if it's going to be an acceptable number. It doesn't look like it to me, to be honest with you, but we're going to dry this up. We'll get a weight on it, and then we'll run some numbers, and we'll decide for ourselves. Okay, so we are teared out. Just look how super, super fine that is. So when I put that onto the paper, I could tell doesn't weigh as much. Just because it covered all that front lip of the pan doesn't mean much. I don't think this is going to weigh as much as I thought. And just like that, 0.08, 0.09. Let's go with 0.09. It's closer to 0.09. Awesome. That's less than I thought it was. Okay, so here's our numbers. We captured 1.22 grams of gold in our sluice during the initial test, running at 1,100 gallons per hour. And then after rerunning our tailings, we found that we had lost 0.09 grams. So our overall capture rate is 93.8%, which, while not good for a cleanup sluice, in fact not good at all, is not terrible and is actually way better than I thought it would be. Alright, so the question for the day is, what did we learn? Well, first of all, we learned don't ever book a live stream to sluice when it's about to rain. There's number one. Number two, I really think I'm actually impressed. 94% almost is a fantastic capture rate with how quick and badly that sluice was running. That being said, it's a very poor capture rate for a cleanup sluice because cleanup sluices are supposed to be designed to process concentrates, which are the heaviest of the heavies. They're supposed to concentrate what your original sluice created for you. Now that being said, it's too much to demand a 6x16 sluice to take 1,100 gallons per hour. But I guess the most important second thing I learned is that those speed controllers are unreliable. If I'm being honest with you guys, I don't have a ton of experience with motorized sluices. I've only been using them for about 3 years, and I've never had to use a speed controller before. And the first time that I really had to use it, it let me down. I think I would much rather go out and purchase a 650 GPH pump, pair that with that Dream Mat or even a 500 GPH pump, and we're going to try that again and see if we can clean it up. I have actually, by the way, gotten my speed controller back up and running, so we'll be able to do a follow-up test. But that being said, that'll be able to tell us what size of pump we need to be able to run a pump without a speed controller, because really honestly I think that's the way to go, because changing the fuses inside those things, not really easy. Now you can wire it direct. Jason from Flower Gold Wizards had mentioned earlier during my live stream to put an inline fuse, which is great, but then we would have to bridge the fuse that's already in there. A lot of work for a $20 speed controller when you can just go out and buy a pump. We'll see how we move forward. There will be another test. But that being said, we have learned a ton from this, And that's what prospecting's all about. Every time I go out, I learn something new. So thanks, guys, for coming along. Hopefully you guys learned something new as well. Cheers, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.